Good morning, everybody. This is Jane from FMC Genie again. I hope you're all well. Apologies, I am a day late, and today is Tuesday, the 14th of February. So Valentine's Day, I hope you all woke up to lots of love and romance and, jockeys and everything else. So anyway, I didn't. So here we are. It's now second week in February, and I'm now working with a lot of smaller brands that are approaching me with really interesting and exciting concepts and brands, ranging from really small, like maybe just an idea on a piece of paper going, how on earth do I even start, all the way up to people that are already established and are trading and are doing well and have a good supplier base, consumer base, and wanting to take up to the next level. But what I am faced with, and it will affect all of you, all of them, and pretty much anybody that you work into any supermarket or any retailer for that matter, is intellectual property. Now, I know it's probably not the most exciting of topics, and actually it's probably very scary, and I know I am not, and I certainly do not profess to be the fount of all knowledge, far from it. But what I do know is the need to make sure that you're protected, both you and your brand, and ultimately your ongoing business and income. So I have recently had a meeting with an intellectual property attorney, and I'm very happy to recommend her. And if you need me to guide you in her direction, then please let me know. But this isn't a sales pitch. And it was very much to do with making sure that you and your brand are protected. And so we started off with looking at a non-disclosure agreement or arrangement, however you want to call it, an NDA, which basically means that the conversation that you have between the two parties or the two businesses is protected. Basically, what goes on tour stays on tour. So I can be discussing all sorts of very intimate details of a business, pricing and where they're going to be going or where they get their products from, which generally would not be widely known. And they have the reassurance of knowing that whatever I say goes nowhere else. And vice versa. I talk about things as well, which I would expect them to treat with some degree of sensitivity. So there's that in a very short term, and they're very easy to come by. Like I say, you can get them from an IP lawyer, or you can just simply download them. Probably worth just double checking that you've got everything covered on anything that gets downloaded, but I should imagine it's a fairly well trodden path and you'll be pretty much okay, I think. But then longer term, we need to start thinking about like trademarks and things like that to make sure that your branding is protected and to make sure nobody replicates, tries to pass off in any other way, or downright just duplicates what you're doing. So all the hard work and all the donkey work and the leg, I mean, all the graft at this very early stage isn't in vain. And to make sure that anything that you do ongoing is protected. And you can do it in various different categories. If you're a food product, obviously it would make sense for you to trademark your product in that food category, but there's others as well. For example, in books, if you ever wanted to launch a recipe book, or in merchandise, if ever you wanted to sell t-shirts or aprons or that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different categories. I know my old brand, Mammoth Fire, we were in I think 9 categories, and that was catering services and all sorts of things. So it's well worth having someone take a look at that for you. Unfortunately, what is very hard to protect is your recipe. Now, obviously, legally, you have to put your ingredients on the back of a pack. It is law, as simple as, but they don't necessarily need to know your recipe. So if you have something that is a very closely guarded secret, either in the recipe structure or the way that it's manufactured, keep it to yourself. It isn't. It's going to be very difficult for you to protect it, which is why the Coca-Cola recipe is under lock and key and under guard, and goodness knows where it is. But I'm pretty certain you can't get your hands on it. Otherwise, Mr. Pepsi, I think, would have been all over it a long time ago. But it's important for you to understand that it's not really that easy to protect a recipe. So go carefully in these early stages, because you may not be as protected as you think you are. But I think that what comes out of all of this is make sure that you've had a conversation with a lawyer who can guide you. It is complicated, but that's what their job, that's what they're paid to do. I'm not in the slightest bit qualified to advise in that regard. And it can be costly, but longer term, it is absolutely worth it if your long-term goal is to succeed and to be protected. So a bit heavy actually, I think, for a Valentine's Day. But it was on my list, and I thought, no, I think I need to tackle it square on. But if I can help at all, then do let me know, and I can certainly guide you in the right direction. I certainly can't advise you necessarily, but have a lovely Valentine's Day. The sun is shining, and go have fun. And bye.